This is Grind Season, episode 39 of Grind Season. As a matter of fact, I'm Jason Smith, one of your co-hosts on the Grind Season podcast. It's a podcast on the free Audacy app or wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, wherever else. Also, co-host of the Jason and John Midday Radio Show here in Memphis on 929 FM ESPN. You can follow me on Twitter at Jason Smith 929. Hopefully you know that by now, especially as we winding down on the regular season. Hopefully you've been rocking with us all season. What you should also know by now is the man next to me is the most talented man on the podcast. His name is Anthony Sain. He is the tribal chief of Grizz Twitter. He's a man who's covered this team for the last 10 years, the last decade. Follow him on Twitter. If you're not, you're late. At Sain Asylum. Brother Sain, what's going on?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm good for sure. Good to be back on episode 39 after a big Grizzlies win against Houston. Houston's one of those teams that really feel a way about us, man. We be Lil Bro and them dudes out there, man. A lot of those guys.
They want to be you. They want to be you.
They want to be us, you know what I mean? So, yeah, for sure. So, that was a big win against Houston. Ja Morant returned. I was in the building, like you said. First time I've been to a game in a long time. I had to check that one out. Had to slide in and blaze out right quick. I left at the half. You know what I'm saying? Some real VIP type stuff. Just because I can. You know what I'm saying? Real talk, just because I can. You know, when you don't pay for tickets, man, you just slide in, slide out, man. Ain't got to get no money with it, man. You know what I'm talking about? Just show my face real good. But I'm good, though, man. I'm good. I'm glad to be here, man.
Good. Glad to have you, especially since you were there last night for the encore return, as you mentioned, of Ja Morant. We're going to get to that. First things first, of course, you can hear Grind Season twice per week. This is our second edition of the week. We'll be back at you early next week and get it, like we said, on the free Audacy app or wherever you get your podcast. Just search Grind Season with a SZN, and you'll find us. Make sure to push that subscribe button for us. We certainly appreciate it. On this edition, basically everything that Anthony just talked about. We are going to talk about Ja Morant's return. Obviously, he came off the bench for the first time in his career. Took a big charge there late. Showed that there wasn't a whole lot of rust by dunking on Kenyon Martin Jr. There pretty early. You could see, I mean, it was a Ja is back moment as anything else. And Sain mentioned it. You most importantly get the win over Houston, 131-25. So that's 4 straight overall that the Grizzlies have won, and 10 straight at home, Sain, where they are now 31-5 and just 2 wins away from breaking the franchise record. So plenty of time to get to all that and what it means. But obviously the return of Ja, we're going to discuss that. Jaren Jackson Jr. Continued his red-hot offensive play against Houston, 37. And if it hadn't been for Ja Morant coming back his first on-court game since the suspension, I mean, Jaren would have been the story, 37 points. We're going to get into Jaren Jackson. We're going to get in on, ask Sain what the ceiling is for Jaren. When you're talking about 5 straight games now, he's kept the streak going, Sain, of 25 or more points. He had never been over 2 straight games of 25 or more. He's on absolute fire. The Grizzlies are giving the ball. How can we make sure that this continues? How good can Jaren Jackson be on that offensive end? We'll get into that. And then obviously, to wrap it all up, we'll do a little bit of an outlook. Just 10 games left in the regular season. You are now got a 2-game lead on Sacramento. If you look at the rest of the schedule, it certainly looks good for the Grizzlies in terms of locking up that number 2 seed, and obviously with that home court advantage through at least the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. So full show, lot to get to. We would be remiss not to do so with the encore return last night of Ja Morant. The family wearing the redemption hoodies. Ja hadn't missed 9 games total, 8 for the suspension, 1 to ramp up. Everybody was excited to see him. That's why I'm so glad to get Sain on right now, just to tell us what was it like in terms of the reception for Ja, and then in terms of his play. Was it about what you expected? Was it better than you expected?
Yeah, man, it was. I was in the building yesterday, like I said. Gabe had a basketball game. Shout out to the St. Dominic Suns 3rd grade team. Gabe had a game yesterday. They lost, and I slid over right from his game to the FedEx Forum to watch the Grizzlies, and the atmosphere was great, man. It was a lot of, you could just feel the excitement. People were excited to get this team back on the home court, to see Ja Morant out there. A lot of Ja Morant jerseys, Ja Morant shoes, Ja Morant posters. It was just a lot of, just big energy for Ja. And when he checked in, when he stood up on the scorer's table, you could feel it, you know what I mean? And then when he got into the game, it was a real electric moment. I'm not gonna say that it wasn't huge, that it wasn't a gigantic pop that he got, but I was expecting something probably bigger. But it probably was just, over anticipation. But it was a good moment for sure, man, to see him come out there and do his thing. He looked like not just, old Ja. He looked super loose, man, relaxed. You know what I mean? He seemed like he was having fun out there. That's something we've been talking about for a while, how Ja hadn't looked right to us. And he's starting to look back right yesterday. I basically said I didn't buy the whole coming off the bench thing last time we talked. It definitely happened. Ja did come off the bench. To our surprise, I love the hoodies that T and them got. T and the family were wearing, because it was something that they got, just old boy and them to make for them. You know what I mean? It wasn't nothing that Nike provided. It looked like something somebody, hooked up maybe the night before. They got some hoodies. It was one of them type of moves. You could tell it was something that it looked like something that if you go to a Tiger basketball game, one of the players' parents would be wearing. It looked like something that was, homegrown like that. And I just thought it was a nice touch just to remind people, man, that's family. That's still their son. That's still their baby out there. So I like the hoodies, whatever. I don't understand why it's such a topic of conversation for today. Ja had a new colorway of the Ja shoe. He was wearing one of those. One might as well get a new colorway out there. Pull up that or whatever. But it was good to see him come out there and contribute. Like you said, Jaren was a monster, of course. Saw some Kenny Lofton minutes yesterday too. Yeah. It was good, man. It was a really good, exciting game. I left at the half, caught the rest of it at the house. I'm sorry, man. I just enjoy watching games at the house better now. I'm sorry. I had to see Ja, come out there. But it was just a great atmosphere. Kudos to the Memphis Grizzlies fan base for, man, that it wasn't like packed to the capacity, like no seats there, and the energy wasn't like playoff energy, but it was a nice, really nice crowd for, a Wednesday night against the Houston Rockets. You know what I mean? So it was a really, really good crowd there. And shout out to the city of Memphis for wrapping their arms of love around one of our sons, our adopted sons, Ja Morant.
Sain, we said last show, I said I sort of appreciated the gesture of Ja Morant suggesting, hey, come off the bench. Not whether it was just words or whether he was really down, either way, that it was a great gesture. And listen, the way it worked out, because I mentioned this on the radio show today, I thought it's also a tip of the cap to the way the team was playing without him and won 6 of 7 to what they had done. Obviously, you end up going 6-3 without him, to the way Tyus Jones has played as a starter. But I say all that to ask you this: is there really any reason to continue with it past that one game? Continue bringing Ja off the bench when we're talking, 10 regular season games left. You want him in doing what he's used to as much as possible. I'm asking you that to ask you: is there any reason to continue it? I know Taylor Jenkins said maybe for a couple games. Is there anything else to gain from bringing him off the bench?
Only reason I see to do it is because it's Houston. It's Houston at home. And I think, you can get away with it. I think you need to see what you are with Ja back in the lineup soon.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I love how when he first came in the game, first play, alley-oop pass to Jaren Jackson Jr., getting Jaren going. That was big, man. To see Ja deferring to Jaren. I heard you guys talking about in the future, could Jaren be the leading scorer on this team? This is a conversation me, you, and John Martin of the Jason and John show had a couple years ago. I was like, man, I could definitely see a scenario one day where Ja's Ja, but Jaren is the leading scorer. That's a conversation we had maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And we're starting to see some of those things manifest where, like we said, man, the big bottle of meat tenderizer, that's what he was. And we saw it last night. He made the game easier for everybody. When you can start off the game with a guy like Jaren Jackson Jr. setting the tone, being able to score it super easily, man. He's backing dudes down and dunking on them, pinning them against the basket and dunking on them. And that's something we never thought we'd see with Jaren. I want to see what the Shaquille O'Neals of the world have to say about Jaren's latest run of play, because a lot of things that people criticize Jaren about, like these old head guys, he's showing that throwback game for sure, man, with definitely some modern wrinkles in it. And it's scary. I tweeted out yesterday that the run that Jaren's on right now might be, one of the scariest things I've seen in the Grizzlies uniform. I don't want to jump too far ahead in the show because I know that's another segment, but to answer your question, no, I don't see a point of Ja continue to come off the bench unless he wants to. I mean, but I think the fact that he even knew that we're playing against Houston at home is part of why he was cool with, all right, man, let me just kind of warm up a little bit coming off the bench. But I'm looking to see him go ahead and start soon because Taylor Jenkins just had a little bit too much work to do last night trying to figure out when to bring Ja back into the game because it was getting a little squirrely, you know what I mean, before he brought him back in.
Do you subscribe to you're going to get a more focused Ja Morant the rest of the way? Is that real?
Yeah, I think
will there be a difference that we can see, or is that more just off the court, on the road, keeping it business, or is there something we're going to be able to see, Sain, you think, out of that?
I think it will. I heard Jeff and Chris Harrington, Jeff Calkins, Chris Harrington talking about, and they played the press conference, and when Ja mentioned things like meditating and certain words he's using,
opened up a little.
And a lot of people are kind of saying that Ja is, oh man, they're just telling him what to say, and there's certain things that Ja is saying you can tell he's gathered nuggets from this counseling that he's making it applicable to his everyday life. And I think you'll see that, man. I think that they'll put certain things in play. He's going to put certain things in play. So I am confident you'll see a different version of Ja. You know what I mean? He had Kari with him last night during the post-game celebration. And just even when you hear him talk, he sounds different. He sounds like he's like this humbling him a little bit. Ja's always been an intelligent kid. Even the wildest, even doing some of the wildest things he's done, he's never lacked lack of intelligence when you're interviewing him, when you put a mic in front of his mouth. Ja is a very intelligent player. Draymond Green, he mentioned Ja being one of the smartest players in the league. So I think he is going to be focused. I think he knows his game time. And I think that the time he took away, the team kind of coming together and kind of finding their roles, I think that it could be, like we talked about, a possible blessing in disguise for sure.
Oh, I know. And so might Skip Bayless's cornball poking or at Ja's, the whole "it's a parade inside my city," because I promise you, everything you just said about the team coming together, I mean, symbolically, you can say too, because now you got the whole team doubling down on it essentially. You got Kari jumping in, you got Pete Pranica jumping in. It's almost, because I used the word, I said rallying cry for this team the rest of the way with how poorly that was done by Skip. You gave them a little extra something to bring them together even more. And I know a lot of that, they don't even allow that talk, but you can tell, man, those folks yesterday were feeling that. They were playing. The Grizzlies have embraced it now, and it's all you've found a way to turn, what Skip was trying to make a negative into a positive that again just gives you another thing to think that this team is as together as it's been all season. We'll see, man, because it's still without Steven Adams. And that still feels like a big piece, but I thought it was important, saying we said the whole time, you better figure things out without Steven Adams, right? Because there are going to be times in the playoffs, just like last year, where you may very well have to have him off the floor. And so in that sense, they did get a lot of those things figured out. That said, you certainly missed the big man's rebound. I want to say that Houston did out rebound by a significant margin the Grizzlies last night. So they're certainly missing his rebounding, the second chance points, all that. That said, yes, watching it from afar, great return for Ja Morant coming off the bench. Hopefully that's as much off the bench stuff as we need. That said, as long as he is back in there, relatively soon in that starting lineup, you got enough games left in this regular season to get everything tuned up and tight. This is the Grind Season podcast, of course. You can get us on the free Audacy app or wherever you get your podcast. Moving on to segment 2 for, again, a Memphis Grizzlies team that right now is red hot, having won 4 straight, 33rd. Wait a minute, I just missed it. I was rolling, saying 31-5 now at home. Yeah, I'm stuck on 32-5 because I think when we looked at both of these Houston games, we said, man, you need to come out of Friday heading into the weekend at 32-5. Then you'll be one game off breaking the franchise record for wins. The home record, franchise record for home wins in a season. That's at 32. You're 31-5. Big part of this, obviously, we've touched on a lot. He was he had the seasoning, brought the seasoning. Last week, he continues to bring it. Jaren Jackson Jr., nothing short of a revelation. What he's doing offensively is the best offensive stretch of offensive basketball we've seen from him in his career. He's just 23 years old, and it won't be 24 till September. He should be the favorite right now for Defensive Player of the Year, but yet the story continues to be what he's doing offensively. 37 points, 14 of 20, Sain, from the floor. It was so easy for him. And you just wonder how much that can help a team that early this season, even when it was playing well, was still struggling in the half court.
Right.
Jaren's offensive involvement can certainly help you in that category, obviously with some, additional shooting that you've added, Luke Kennard, but you could see ways the Grizzlies could become a better half-court team with the way things are getting so much easier for Jaren Jackson with the confidence that's building. Sain, I say all that to say, again, 2, free throw line he was fantastic at yesterday, 8 of 11. He's getting to the line and knocking them down. What is the ceiling? You touched on it. We brought up the fact that, maybe at a time, Jaren could be the number one scoring option because it's starting to come so easy for him. Set that to the side. What's the ceiling for Jaren Jackson Jr., particularly on the offensive end, Saint? How good can he be on that end?
The ceiling is the roof, Jason Smith.
The ceiling is the roof, Michael Jordan would say.
Yeah, Michael Jordan, yeah. Yeah, man, it's I think you can see a guy, because you think about this, like in Jaren, he's always been a guy who's been a capable three-point shooter. He can be a guy who's a top of the key trailing three-point shooter, hit him in the corner, those type of things. He's showing the ability to post up the ball, to drive to the basket without getting offensive fouls. There are still 2 crucial elements to Jaren's game that we have not seen any of that would make him extremely unguardable if he could add these 2 things. That's a mid-range jump shot, like a Rasheed Wallace type guy, or Kevin Garnett, where they can get the ball, jab you in the high post, hit that mid-range jump shot. If he got that to his game, he would be terrifying. And something else that's basketball one-on-one that we've never seen Jaren be able to do, and that's set a pick. Imagine if Jaren Jackson is a guy that you can use in a pick and pop or a pick and roll situation, or like I said, put in those elbow opportunities in the triple threat position, mid-range. Those things aren't even in his game. Not that he needs to improve on those things. Those things are not in his toolbox at all. Imagine if Jaren Jackson Jr. took a healthy summer without injury.
Yeah.
Without injury, Jason Smith, which we have not seen from him in a long time. Imagine if his summer is strictly playing basketball, especially if you get a mentor, so to speak, to be with him. Whether that's, I don't know who that might be. But imagine if you get a real trainer with him, or a former NBA great to get alongside Jaren Jackson Jr., mentor him, get in the gym with him, and add those tools to his game. Imagine how good he can be. I mentioned Anthony Davis last year. I said, man, I'm seeing AD out there. I'm seeing a young Anthony Davis. If you look at Jaren's numbers throughout his career, they're very similar to Anthony Davis. Jay Williams on 92.9 ESPN this morning compared Jaren to Anthony Davis. He's like, if that's what Jaren can do, that's Anthony Davis. And I agree. You know what I mean? And it's wild to see it, bro. My boy Dez on Twitter, I can't think of his Twitter handle. He mentioned that he said, I've never seen a guy improve on one element of his game within a season like Jaren Jackson Jr. has done. We've seen guys like, over the summer, oh shit, like he's got some new shit in his bag.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, I've never seen a guy get this good within a season at a certain part of his game.
Well, how much of it could have happened sooner if not for the injuries you just touched on? Was the first 17 games of the season or something like that around that he missed? And then how much of it is them not tapping into this earlier?
I think it's the latter,
or
man.
Did he have to be ready first, saying, you know what I'm saying?
I think it was a perfect storm with Ja being away. I think that played a lot into it.
Definitely some of it.
But I think the fact that, we got to hear early in the season on this very podcast, and we talked about they need to find ways.
Oh yeah.
To make scoring easier for Jaren Jackson Jr. His game can't just be, Jaren was making threes, he had a good game today. They have to find ways to make the game easier. And hey, guess what's really easy to do? Post up. That's a real easy way to score.
Helps your half-court offense tremendously too.
Right. And I think it was, I don't know if it was Harrington or Calkins that said it. Probably was Harrington. And he was talking about how not only is Jaren growing up physically, maturing physically, all these type of things, he's just older than a lot of the guys who are now the young players in the NBA. When Jaren first came in the league, Anthony Davis used to kill those type of guys used to kill him. Jaren's an older guy now. He's physically stronger than these guys. He's wiser than these guys. and he can go off. He's a lot of the league is younger than Jaren Jackson Jr. now, so he's using that to his advantage or whatever. Also, you mentioned the half court offense. Candace Higgins, who she's a podcaster on Grizzlies Fan, of course. She's excellent at what she does too. She's a co-host on Ethos Grizzlies. She put out a tweet today saying the Grizzlies, since the All-Star break, are 11th in half-court offense and 22 overall. And that's dope, man.
It's improved, man.
Yeah, and I think that Jaren Jackson Jr. plays a part in that. When you got a guy who you can go get. Because, man, we were up 3 the other night against Dallas, right?
The Dallas game. He hit the big one with 17
seconds. He gave the ball to Jaren. Was like, all right, go win the game. Jaren's like, all right, I got you.
Yes.
Say less. I'll be back.
That takes a confidence and a want to.
Yeah. And I think that it's really scary, man, when you think about if Jaren can be that, and Ja continues to be Ja, and Desmond Bane is your ultimate trump card. That's why
not? I've been stuck on your thought about putting him with like a former elite big guy or something that in the off season or something that could whether he was a footwork guy or not, but also stuck on what you were talking about. If he could add the mid-range jumper, the free throw line jumper to his game, what about Rasheed, man?
Yeah.
Somebody just like that, you know what I'm saying?
Because he's like, and he like here, and he had Lamar on us and shit.
He was, but then he was at one point he was going to be the NBA. Remember? Yes, but remember Rasheed's vaccination status has cost him some gigs.
Oh man,
that's why in real, that's why he didn't finish at Memphis, and I think it's been one of the reasons why it's been back and forth on him finally going to the NBA.
What a reality show that could be if you put the cameras on Jaren and Rasheed.
Is he the guy, or should it be Hakeem Olajuwon or something? You know what I'm saying?
I think it should be like an Olajuwon or David Robinson, maybe, or Kevin Garnett, who's friends with his dad, who he did that the rookie year video with or whatever.
Yes.
But could you see the hilarity, Jason Smith, if they had the cameras rolling on Jaren and Jaren, whose team vaccination advocate for one of the first NBA players to go get the vaccine?
He might convince Rasheed to do it.
Yeah, but I wonder if he could convince him, man. The odd couple.
I'll tell you, man, Rasheed had that mid-range game, Sain. That's why when you were talking about the mid-range, if he added a little pull-up at the free throw line to his game, you would be damn near unstoppable. And Rasheed was unstoppable in that area. He was unstoppable in that area. You put
John Jaren in a pick and roll, and Jaren does a little baby pop out to the corner, and he's shooting that little not Luka Doncic, that Nikola Jokic mid-range shot or something like that. Come on, man. Jaren would be freaking unguardable. Because you couldn't. What could you do? What would you do with it if John and Jaren are the two guys? I'm telling you, bro. Like if seeing Jaren do this changes my outlook on what the Grizzlies are for infinity to infinity and beyond, bro. Like for real. Like
I know.
If this is what Jaren is gonna be, come on, man.
Last to Saints to underline to Saints' point, last 5 games, 29.8 points per game, 7 rebounds, 2.4 blocks. We know in the season he's over 3 blocks per game. So but particularly offensively, what he's doing, 30 points per game basically over the last 5. You get that kind of Jaren Jackson.
All NBA numbers. Like
yes, man. Like, those are numbers that Anthony Davis would be happy with at this point with 30 points per game. You know what I'm saying? And then Jokic doesn't come like I'm not offensively not saying, but he doesn't come close defensively. Like you know what I'm saying? And so you can start talking about him if he's going to stay like this offensively with some of the elite in the West. And Anthony Davis getting up there. Jokic, 27, 28. He's got some more good years, but you could see a future, to your point, especially as the West gets younger and younger, where Jaren is literally one of the best centers in the West.
Exactly.
Because guys are aged out, or it's you and Jokic.
Yeah, and I'm not expecting him to be 30 points a game for sure. But I can see Jaren take a leap where he's scoring 24, 25. I
need Ja and that team to keep him a priority once everybody's back.
Yep. I need to be on.
Now you've seen what it can be.
When I go on FanDuel and they say who do I think is going to score the first bucket, I should say, it's going to be Jaren, because I know we get him going first.
Well, that's credit. They've done a better job now. It was almost forced on them with, Steven goes out, and then Ja goes out. He has to go up in priority and focal point of the offense. But finally, we are here.
Yeah, man, I love it.
We are seeing a brand new Jaren Jackson Jr. on the offensive end of the floor. It has been nothing short of remarkable to see. Here's hoping it continues as soon as this Friday. Why not keep this streak of 25 or more going? He's at 5 games right now. You listen to the Grind Season podcast here with you guys, Anthony Sain and Jason Smith, our producer Drew Barrett. You can get us twice per week. We're on the free Audacy app or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for us. Do us a favor as we approach the end of the regular season here, and that's where we'll pick things up with this third segment. Is a look ahead. Feeling pretty good right now, saying about holding down number 2. As recently as a week and a half ago, 2 weeks, wouldn't have said that. We came on here, and I ain't gonna lie to you, things were a little bit dark in terms of trying to figure out if they could hold on to number 2. Sacramento at one point had gotten ahead of you, and so Grizzlies certainly fortunate at this point to be 2 up. Sacramento's still got a tougher schedule than you the rest of the way with their 10 to your 10. That starts on Friday for them with Phoenix while you're playing Houston. So an opportunity to open that lead up to 3 games. It's so critical. You can't say it enough for the Grizzlies to have that second seed, because if you're talking about a team that's 31-5 at home, you get home court through the first 2 rounds, that can be powerful. It could be your ticket, quite frankly, to the Western Conference Finals, having home court as the number 2 seed through the first 2 rounds. It really could be that simple. We'll see. But Sam, I thought we'd do a little bit of an outlook, a look ahead in terms of you don't see at this point, with everything sort of feeling like it's coming back and aligning, any sort of drop off now. Are we assuming they're the number 2 seed? And if we are, then we could start looking at, okay, who they might get, in that 7 spot. Is 2 seed locked up for you? I think it's Basketball Reference got it up to like a 77% chance.
Jason Smith, you hear that clapping sound in the background? Listeners, if y'all hear that clapping sound, that is the sound of me pat myself on the back. I came on you and John Martin's show.
Yeah, I doubted you. I ain't gonna lie to you.
And I told y'all, we ain't slipping, man. We might fall to 3, but we ain't slipping past 3. And here we are, 2 games ahead of Sacramento at 2. You got very winnable games coming up. You got Houston, the Hawks. That's even as a road game, I think it's a very winnable game. You got the Clippers twice without Paul George. You scored 51 points on that team a few weeks ago. Really blew it down in the end. I think that you had growing pains and lumps that have that's not happening again. That Clippers team, I told y'all I wasn't taking them serious even at the trade deadline. I'm telling you, man, my outlook on this team has changed so much in the last few weeks. You know this, man. You had to talk me off the cliff. You had to talk me off the cliff, bro.
You was ready to trade everybody, and you were concerned. You were concerned about Taylor Jenkins. You were concerned about
all of them.
Because it was ugly there for a minute. We were kind of high. I was trying to
play 30 minutes a game, and come on, man, it was driving me crazy. Yeah,
well, with that said, I think you had said and felt pretty good about them being at least 2 right around. And for a while there, it looked a little murky. But you needed to just stick to your conviction.
Here's the thing, Jason. Let me throw this out there to you and to the listeners. I put this tweet out this morning. I posted the NBA standings of February 9th, which is the NBA trade deadline, and I posted the standings for today, as well as the team records for the teams that made moves that everybody was buzzing about. Everybody was jerking off at the trade deadline. I posted those teams' records, Jason Smith.
Yep.
Los Angeles Lakers made a lot of deadline moves. Of course, they lost LeBron James. Their record, 11-7 since the trade deadline. Kudos to the Lakers. Got some solid role players. Got my boy Jerry Vanderbilt. Got Malik Beasley.
Yeah.
Really
they held down decently without LeBron, too. Yeah.
I do not want the Lakers to mess around and be the 7-8 play-in game winner. I don't want to fool with them dudes, man. I don't want to fool around with them dudes, man. That's why I'm like Denver. I'm glad y'all are getting that 1 seed. If the Lakers getting that 9-10 play-in, kudos to you. If you guys can get that 8 seed, I don't want to fool with them dudes in the first round. Not saying I don't think we're above the ass, but I don't feel like fooling around with LeBron, getting out, not getting out of the first round. Like I don't want to test the NBA.
We on the same page, 100%, bro.
All right. Your Phoenix Suns obtained Kevin Durant. Have you seen this tweet? For your Phoenix Suns, guess their record since February 9th, since the trade deadline.
Is it 500?
They are 508-8. The Los Angeles Clippers. I think I remember you. I think I remember you being very pro Los Angeles Clippers at the trade deadline.
They're like 21-14, or maybe a little bit better when the two play. The problem is the two don't play.
Guess the Los Angeles Clippers record since the trade deadline.
7-8.
7-8. Yes. Bro, you looking at my tweet? Yeah.
No, I promise you. I literally was just guessing.
All right, here's the one. Here's the one I stood firmly on trade when they made this trade. I said, all y'all are wrong. This team is not going to be good. They're going to be worse since they made this deal. The Dallas Mavericks.
Oh, now that I was with you on 100%.
I told Brad.
That was God. I said that's going to backfire now and in the future.
And this summer.
Yeah.
Brad Carson, white ass, was super excited to see Luka get. And white people were so confused. Like, oh crap, it's Kyrie Irving. Well, do I cheer for this? Do I hate it? What? Jason Smith, do you know what the Dallas Mavericks record has been since the trade deadline?
It's not good. It's below 500.
6-11. Jason Smith. They have won 6 games. And guess how many they've won when Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic played together?
1, 2.
2 of them hoes. 2 of them.
Man,
Jason Smith.
And they are terrible defensively. I am not concerned about Dallas.
Do you want to hear the 3 best records in the West since the trade deadline?
I think I know one of them is like OKC, right?
I don't know. I ain't checked it.
You better. Them are slowly on the creep up, trying to avoid the play-in.
Yeah, them dudes. Hey, bro, I was
8-2 in their last 10. I got nothing but respect for what OKC is doing. They don't care about Wembayama.
I used to dog the organization out. Shout out to them dudes. They need a rebrand though, because your uniforms, their colors are ugly as shit.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Anyway,
the top 3. Yeah.
The top 3. Your Denver Nuggets, the number 1 seed in the West, 11-7.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Your Sacramento Kings, the 2nd seed, the 3rd seed in the West, they're 12-6. And your Memphis Grizzlies, the 2nd seed in the West, they're 12-6. The 3 teams who the Nuggets got Thomas Bryant. The Grizzlies and the Kings didn't do anything at the deadline. I don't think the good teams are still good. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, they didn't gut. And people are like, well, at least Phoenix has an excuse. No, you traded away your depth on a team that was the number 1 team in the West last year. You got Kevin Durant. He's out. You don't have any depth. You're old at Chris Paul. You're 8-8 since the trade deadline.
It's true. I mean, with what comes Kevin comes what happened in that layup line. It's that injury chance, and they're right there.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna throw this out here as the show's getting ready to end. Seeing what Jaren is becoming, it's definitely expanded my hope.
Yes.
Seeing Desmond Bane put the ball on the ground and having some level of confidence that I think his 3-point shot is going to go crazy in the playoffs. I saw it too much last year to think that he's not going to just have games where he goes crazy. Seeing Luke Kennard, who I told y'all is going to be a much bigger deal than we were giving him credit for. He's another reason why our half-court offense has been
open up the floor, space.
Because you have to guard that.
Yep.
You have to guard the threat of him being the shooter, and it opens up everything else.
Yep.
Seeing Dylan Brooks buy in on, okay, I'm just going to be this crazy-ass defender. Oh, they've broken Dylan Brooks. He's in the fucking sunken place. They've broken.
Then why did he tell the story about the job?
Because he's broken, Jason Smith. They broke him. They're like, look what y'all done to me. look at how I let these people do to me, man. That's why he said.
If you say he's still out, I want to see it when Ja's back. Him still playing. I still think engaged.
I'm gonna throw out another theory to y'all too, and I know this is totally off topic. There's this thing out there where people are like giving Dylan Brooks credit for like, yeah, man, Dylan is doing this stuff to get the heat off of John. He's getting all this attention. You've heard people say that, right? You ever heard people say that? I've heard people on your I've heard you guys say it. I've heard people on you guys' radio stations say that Dylan is doing a lot. There's a theory that Dylan is doing all this negative stuff, like not negative stuff, but like pulling attention to himself to get the heat off of John. No, that's totally not how I see it.
Get up out of here.
I see you doing like, I'm for the shine right now. I might not shine with the basketball, but I'm about to get some shine for real. That's what I see it.
100%. That's it. He gets more shots when Jai is gone. That's just the case.
Right. People talking
and Dylan loves shots. Hell, he was already talking about at some point in his career when he can get more shots than what he got right now.
One day.
So, like I said, I want to see him. I want to see him still engaged, saying when he's the fourth option, when he rolls back down to 4, as opposed to 2 or 3 with Jaya. So I need that same energy.
That Theo Pinson shit was funny as hell.
No, it was. He don't care no more, man. He don't care about the tape. He's gonna make his statement no matter what. That's what I'm talking about. Ain't nobody broke Dylan. He does what Dylan wants to do. If he gonna tell
as on the court, man, Dylan just can't get the shots no more.
No,
I feel good, man. I feel
bro.
really
Doesn't
good.
this feel good? Such a better play, and we needed this too, frankly, with what the way the Memphis Tigers went out. We needed it to get good again, something to help through the pain of that mess. Grizzlies, man, it feels like all is possible again. Saying, I know that's
I'm gonna say this too, man. Before we go, I know y'all
Western Conference Finals or bust. That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna say this before we go, man. I be wanting to give Taylor Jenkins props, bro. But Brandon Clark.
Hold on, let me pause and get a pen ready if you about to do this.
I be wanting to give this man props, man.
Historic.
No, I'm not gonna give him props. I mean, he's a great coach, bro. Don't get it twisted. But it's like stuff has to go so long before he decides to make a move. Bro, Brandon Clark has been gone for seems like a month. You're just now getting Junior Lofton into the rotation. They should have been doing it. As soon as BC went down, Junior Lofton should have been eating up a ton of minutes. That dude's been productive in every game he's played, man. I don't want to hear this crap about him playing defense. As a reserve player, he's fine. There are plenty of reserve guys who all they can do is come in and score, and they're horrible defenders. He's going to get killed on defense, fine. But he can still eat up minutes and produce in those minutes, man. And it just bothers me that it takes Taylor Jenkins so long. Like Jaren, it's taking him the entire season to realize, let me find other ways to use Jaren Jackson Jr., who's
wasn't Budenholzer before he finally won? Wasn't he known for he sticks with it? He doesn't, he doesn't. He's more of that guy, and he's certainly from that tree, Jenkins. But dude, I must say, man, because I roll my eyes when things were looking bad, and he was saying, well, with Ja gone, we can learn some things about ourselves, and we're learning. I rolled my eyes at that stuff. But like I said earlier, man, it has happened. Like what whether he was hoping for it or really truly believed that they could find something with Ja gone, like they found something. So just in that alone, I gotta back off a little bit and give my man some credit on that one, because I thought it was just all spin. But they did get some things right without Ja. They really did.
Who would have ever thought, Jason Smith, that Ja Morant tricking off $50,000 in a bummy ass club in Denver with a pea shooter gun, drunk as a skunk with a save?
Right. He might have tricked off $40 million and $50,000.
No, I ain't buying it no more, man. I ain't buying it no more. Because if you're not gonna vote Ja in, you can't vote Steph Curry in either. Because Ja's played more games than Steph has played. Steph don't even qualify for the stats stuff. I looked up points per game. He don't even qualify.
I'm not worried as much about Steph as just them guys saying, no, he doesn't. Because again, this is just opinion. This is sports writers and broadcasters who just as easy could say, I don't like him. I don't like the season he had. They could be like Jay Williams, where they thought the NBA should have suspended him for the rest of the year without pay, and they're going to punish him. But I will say, to your point, we had Brian Windhorst on this week, and he seemed like he was almost glass half full about it, thinking that there's enough games left in terms of what y'all have finished, about 61, 62. I don't have it in front of me, but he'll be over 60 to your point. And he made the point that when Carmelo Anthony got suspended for 15 games that season, he was still all NBA. It got into a fight, something similar where voters could have held that against him, and he still got it. So maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Did you hear Stephen A. Smith talk about how he told Jay Williams he was wrong?
Yeah, he had. What I like is he said, "Well, I hadn't heard your take."
Yeah, it was so funny.
That tape had been in circulation for about 24 hours by the time Stephen A. got to.
It was just hearing Stephen A. talking about he wasn't on the court. He was out in the shake joint, making them holler for $1. Like he didn't say that.
But to Stephen A.'s point, and I really agree, because he did the whole Memphis is Elvis and it needs to be Ja thing again. To his point, this was not team facility. So when you boil it down to go back to the CBA's rules and everything, no. And
there was no reason to.
And then why you got to take away the pay? That
came out with hate. I ain't gonna lie, Jay Williams. That sounded like you were hating, bro. For real,
man. For real,
it did.
For real.
He had Doc in there today. You could hear his little shaky mouth ass. It's like he was nervous as hell.
I mean, all credit to Doc. I think Doc backed him off of that. All I heard was Jay playing makeup and trying to say, I love Ja Morant. And more so, I'm just anti-guns. I'm
anti-guns. Videos like, oh shit, this man for a couple of the bullshit.
Yeah, shout out to Doc because he went on there and he repped. He said he told Keyshawn, "How about you watch my show? How about you watch my show?"
Exactly.
Shout out to the great Doc Holliday, sports director over at the great WMC TV Channel 5 for repping Memphis, repping Ja Morant in such a fantastic light. That is our show. That's today's episode. We'll be back early next week. Appreciate you guys for joining us. Like we said, Grizzlies got Houston on Friday. Hopefully, we're talking about another home win for them. For Anthony Sain, for our producer, Drew Barrett, I'm Jason Smith. Remember to stay on your grind.